So good morning or afternoon. I would like to thank you for joining our presentation on first void urine as an alternative to clinician-collected cervical samples for HPV detection. I will present usability and performance data of Colli-Pee, and Colli-Pee is a urine collector for the standardized and volumetric collection of first void urine, which is developed by Novosanis. I will start by providing some background on the potential of urine as a sample type, and then I will introduce Colli-Pee and its application in HPV detection. A high proportion of women still don't participate in cervical cancer screening due to the reluctance towards gynecological examinations. Also, a number of studies have shown that HPV-based cervical cancer screening is a more effective approach towards the prevention compared to Pap testing. Women have shown positive attitudes towards the use of self-collected HPV testing, and the performance of these samples has been evaluated and showed to be similar to clinician-collected cervical samples. This means that self-samples offer a solution to improve screening coverage in those that do not routinely attend cervical cancer screening. Here, the results of a meta-analysis are shown that reported an overall 2.14-fold increase in the screening coverage due to the use of self-samples. If we take a look at urine, we see that urine is the most accepted sample type for HPV detection. Here, the results of 3 studies are shown where urine, which is identified with the green bar, consistently provides the highest percentage of sample acceptance compared to other sample types, which are the cervical sample, the cervicovaginal self-sample, and the vulvar sample. And these are identified by the gray bars. The bars are shown for the samples that were included in the specific analysis. And this slide also shows that women consistently prefer urine over other sample types. As a response to the high acceptability of urine samples and to increase the performance of urine for HPV detection, Colli-Pee was developed. Colli-Pee provides a standardized and volumetric sample of first void urine, which contains the initial washout of cellular debris. And for this reason, first void urine contains higher concentrations of HPV DNA compared to midstream. In addition, a sample collected with Colli-Pee also showed to have higher HPV DNA concentrations compared to a regular urine cup. Colli-Pee is user-friendly for both genders and allows a hygienic and non-invasive self-sample. Moreover, our collection tube is pre-fillable with a preservative that prevents DNA degradation and stabilizes urinary content. This enables shipment and storage for up to 7 days at ambient temperature. Here, we show the accuracy of our volumetric collection, where Colli-Pee for the collection of 20 milliliters collects on average 19.67 milliliters, and Colli-Pee for the collection of 10 milliliters collects on average 9.84 milliliters. The error bars represent the standard deviations, which are small and show an accurate volumetric collection for Colli-Pee, in contrast to the regular urine cup, where a high variability is observed. This illustration shows the usability of Colli-Pee, where 91.1% of a total of 440 users rated the device as easy to very easy to use. And this is a pooled result from 6 individual studies where consistently showing positive attitudes towards the user-friendliness of Colli-Pee. Here, we provide data on the performance of urine conservation medium, RUCM, which is our preservation buffer, and can be added to the collector tube prior to collection. We performed an experiment where first void urine collected with Colli-Pee was spiked with 1,000 copies per microliters of HPV-16 plasmids. The samples were analyzed on the Roche Cobas 6800 platform after 7 days of storage at room temperature. HPV-16 was detected in all samples where UCM was added, compared to only 25% of the unpreserved samples. We also observed a difference in CT values with a median cycle number of 29.7 in UCM preserved samples, which increased to a median cycle number of 40 in the unpreserved samples. Results from the University of Antwerp also showed a difference in HPV detection between preserved and unpreserved samples. And here they used samples of HPV positive women and compared different extraction techniques. These results overall show that UCM prevents HPV DNA degradation for up to 7 days of storage at room temperature. Because women are reluctant to accept gynecological examinations and because of the high acceptance of urine sample, urine has been evaluated as an alternative to clinician-collected cervical samples, where previous systematic reviews showed a reasonable concordance between urine and cervical cells for HPV positivity. Colibri provides great opportunities to increase the performance of urine because it aids in the collection of a first void urine sample, which contains the highest initial washout of cellular debris, and a preservation buffer can be added to the collector tube to avoid DNA degradation. A number of clinical performance studies have been set up to address the performance of Colibri in HPV detection for cervical cancer screening, which include over 2,500 women who were referred to colposcopy. This slide shows the result of the first completed study, which assessed clinical accuracy of HPV detection in women with SIN2+ lesions, where a number of samples were analyzed, which are the clinician-taken smear or the cervical sample, the vaginal swab self-sample, and first void urine, where both first morning urine and urine collected later during the day were included. Results are shown for both sensitivity and specificity for all sample types and for the two different analysis assays that were used, which were the analytically sensitive SPF10 assay identified by the circle and the clinically validated GP5+, 6+ assay identified by the triangle. The results show highly similar performance of first void urine to a clinician taken sample and a vaginal swab self-sample with almost perfect detection, where first void urine shows almost perfect detection of HPV infections in women with SIN2+ lesions. And this is shown by a sensitivity ranging from 95 to 100%. Similarity is also shown for specificity, and the urine samples taken during the morning and later during the day perform similar as well. Results from preliminary data from different ongoing studies also show high overall HPV positivity with Colibri collected first void urine on high throughput assays in the referral population, and the concordance for high-risk HPV detection between first void urine and cervical samples ranges from good to very good, with kappa values ranging from 0.65 to 0.85. Colibri is also included in the Valhudes study, and Valhudes aims to compare clinical specificity and sensitivity of first void urine and a vaginal swab self-sample with cervical samples with matched clinician-collected cervical samples as a reference. Preliminary data evaluated non-inferiority at the lower bound of 95% agreement and on the Appelt high-risk HPV assay with cervical samples as a reference, where Colibri showed non-inferior sensitivity for the detection of HPV in women with SIN2+ lesions. The vaginal swab self-sample showed non-inferior specificity. To conclude, we want to add that we have more results in the pipeline since Colibri features in a number of studies, which are the Predictors 5.1 study, the Valhudes study, and the European Valhudes study, which assess clinical performance of Colibri in sample comparison studies. In addition, the CASUS project uses a first void urine sample for the validation of a methylation-based triage test after the detection of a high-risk HPV infection. This allows a fully molecular approach towards HPV-based cervical cancer screening, where only one first void urine sample needs to be collected. Thank you for your attention, and I'm very curious for the feedback and questions.